What didn't make my list is there's a creep factor to the Twilight Zone sometimes that I
Yeah.
just couldn't. I don't do. I don't do things that jump out at you. I don't do scary movies at all. I don't do any of the like Friday the 13th or any of that. And there were aspects of Twilight Zone that were just a little bit too close to that edge for me.
Yeah. See, now I don't think that. I don't feel that way. There's not. I don't think there's that many jumpy things in Twilight Zone because I don't like those things either. I hate scary movies.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
like
I
when
know.
things. Yeah. I don't. I don't like. I don't like jump scares at all. I mean, that's. I don't like that at all. And I just, that's not doesn't really happen a lot in Twilight Zone. Now it does in the movie. The movie has
Right.
some, but the not really in the TV show as much. Um, but yeah, I really like it. It's really good. An honorable mention here that kind of goes with it. The Outer Limits was a pretty good show. Oh yeah, Trent says, "Hey, you're back." Yeah, we had a little internet glitch. I'm not sure what happened. Just all of a sudden, we were gone for a second, and Jill was gone for a second, and
Yes.
it took us a second to get back up. So sorry about that. Um, if you were tuning in and you missed it, so far, we are doing the top 5 sci-fi TV shows, and my number 5 was Star Trek: The Next Generation, 4 was Mandalorian, and 3 was The Twilight Zone. And Jill, do you want to go over your top 3 so
Mine
far?
number 5 was Eureka, number 4 was Quantum Leap, and number 3 was Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah. Cool. So number 2.
Number 2 for me is Firefly.
That's in my honorable mentions list.
I love that show. I think part of it for me is it has that whole Western feel, and I've always loved Westerns. And so it combines two genres that I love,
Hmm.
the whole space travel and a Western all in one fell swoop. And I was very sad that they did not continue that show.
Right.
I loved
I think a lot of people felt that way about that show. It was on my honorable mentions list. There wasn't anything in my top 5 I could take out to put it in. And matter of fact, it's the very first one in my honorable mentions list. And I think if it had gone longer, it probably would have made it. But yeah, I don't know. So my number 2
it.
is, let me get my image up here.
I figured that was going to be in there.
The X-Files. I love the X-Files. I haven't really liked the newer ones that well, though. They've been okay, but I definitely like all the original. I mean, there's plenty of originals, but fantastic show, great cast, really good stories. I always liked, I know this irritated some other people, but I liked that they commingled the like the overarching story,
Uh-huh.
and then threw in just some single episodes here or there, just to kind of switch it up a little bit.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, hi Shelly. We anyway, I really really enjoyed that show. That's one of the few shows I can remember that was not a comedy, because I love comedy. Comedy is my favorite
Right.
genre of everything. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the few shows I can think of that was much must watch TV for me that wasn't a sitcom.
You know what's funny is thank you. For the two, our number twos are both shows we've watched together.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not true for a lot of the, for the other ones.
Right. That's true. Do you want to go over, before we get to our number ones, do you want to talk about some of your other honorable
Yes.
mentions?
Warehouse 13.
Yeah, that was a
Love
good show.
that show. Lots of again, there was a lot of good history there because there were all these historical artifacts. Loved the characters. It was, again, a lot of quirky people and a lot of humor, and really liked that show.
That's a good show. I already mentioned Firefly. I mentioned The Outer Limits. Um, it's was a lot like Twilight Zone.
Hmm.
Lost. The only reason why
Oh,
Lost didn't make the list, Lost, is it sci-fi? Is it not? Um,
yeah.
and also, there's some rewatch factor there. I don't think I could sit and rewatch all of Lost.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had,
So Jake Anderson watching 13 with the family now. Cool.
I'm ready to watch it again, I think, but Battlestar Galactica, and I'm talking about the original, which most people would probably disagree with. I think most people think that the new one is better. But for me, that was like Starbuck will always be Dirk Benedict. He will not be a girl.
Right.
And I loved, Lauren Green was like, who else would you want to lead you away from your, burning colonies? But Lauren Green, I mean, I just loved that show.
I had Quantum Leap, as I mentioned before. $6 Million Man is on there. I always loved Six
Oh,
Million
that's a
Dollar
good
Man.
one. Yes.
Um, Matter of fact, I still say all the time, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. And then I mentioned also Game of Thrones, kind of. I don't, but I just didn't consider it sci-fi enough to put it on there. So um, it's
Now,
more
see,
fantasy, like you said.
I had Highlander, and I got rid of it because Highlander, again, is it fantasy or is it science fiction? I mean, technically they're supposed to be from, somewhere else, but love that show. I think it gets the number one for best music in a show because it has all those incredible Queen songs in
Yeah.
there.
Any show
So
that has Queen in it's going to be all right with me.
yeah, I love that show, but I consider that to be more of a fantasy kind of thing. So I didn't. It
Right.
would probably be if with Game of Thrones, and like I would classify that separately. But
I think Trent might be giving us his top five here.
oh, I think he was saying that one of these that we said was top five. But which one,
Maybe
Trent?
maybe I misunderstood then. Um, and Jake says he watched Highlander now too.
I think I've watched every episode at least twice, if not more than that. So
I've seen a few here or there. Maybe I need to. That's another show I need to give another shot to.
now I had one other one on my honorable mention list. Um, I
Yeah.
had Dirk Gently.
Oh, I didn't even think about Dirt Gently. That would have been a good one.
If you guys have not seen Dirk Gently, you should find it
It's a
because
very, very weird show. I mean,
it is
expect it to be
really
weird,
weird.
but it's based on a very weird book. So so Trent's top five is Battlestar Galactica, the new one. Stargate SG-1, which I'm surprised you haven't said yet. Maybe it's your number one. And then number three is Star Wars: Clone Wars. Two is Futurama. I almost put Futurama on there too, but I didn't finish it. But again, because it kind of came about a time I wasn't really watching a lot of TV. And then number one, Firefly. Those are good choices. When you have another happy birthday greeting.
Thank you.
Um, and I just, well, anyway, I'm going. So here, let me give you a drum roll.
Your number one.
What's your number one?
Okay, my number one is Stargate SG-1.
I figured.
Although I really sort of want to cheat and say all of the Stargates because I loved Atlantis, I loved Continuum, but there's something about Stargate SG-1 that is still, it's just special. Richard Dean Anderson is that everyman who's not scientific, but he figures it out, and
We know why you really like Richard Dean Anderson.
why?
Yeah, don't play coy with me.
I made Martina watch my favorite episode of that the other night.
Really?
And it's the one, yeah, she and I watched.
I bet she
It's
loved
the
that.
one where they do, oh, it's a hilarious episode because they get caught in a time warp and they relive the same day over and over and
So
over and
basically,
over
they copied
again.
off of Star Trek: The Next Generation
Well, no, but it's
or
better
Groundhog Day.
because at one point, they somebody says to them, "Well, you could do anything and get by with it, and no one would ever know because the day is
Oh,
going to
so they
restart
remember
again."
they know that they're reliving the same day.
There's two people that know that they're reliving the same day, and no one else knows, and so they always have to tell them and try
So
to
it was
work it
Groundhog
out.
Day.
It is, except what they do that cracks me up is then they start doing stuff that they've always wanted to do. Like Jack decides he wants to learn how to um, make a pot, and so you see him over time, like his first pots are all like crooked and they look terrible, and then he's like an expert potter by the time they're done. And he's always wanted to kiss one of the other people on his team, but he can't because he's the team leader. So he just kisses her right before the time's going to reset.
That makes
And
sense.
he and he and Teal'c learn like new languages, and they hit golf balls through the Stargate to other worlds, and I mean they do all kinds of hilarious things. What struck Martina was it always starts with breakfast, and every day Jack is eating Fruit Loops every single day, and she's like, boy, when that got old. And so as soon as they go to that, they finally solve the time warp, Jack goes to eating oatmeal.
That's funny. Um, Trent Burton has honorable mentions. Thundercats. That's a good choice. Silverhawks. I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
Rick and Morty, Mandalorian, Eureka, Doctor Who, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, I am curious about Doctor Who. I've never watched
I haven't
any
either.
version of Doctor Who, but people that I know that like the same stuff as I do, what like it. But I don't. But there's so much I don't know where to start. And I've asked people, and everybody's like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
or I guess it really doesn't matter. Like, well, it's got to, kind of, doesn't it? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, that might be a show that we need to try.
yeah. Jake says his, SG1's his favorite version,
Yeah.
and then Debbie, that's Jill's sister, said that's her favorite episode of SG1 also. Boy, I got behind on the comments here. Sorry.
Oh,
What's that?
okay.
I don't know what that is.
It's a show.
Okay. And Rhonda said her favorite show was Fringe.
Well, and I had like I thought about 4400 and Under the
I thought about
Dome.
that one too, but again, it's not up. Sorry, I got distracted by something. It was one of those that like stopped in the middle. You know what I mean? And I think it would
Yeah.
have been way up there if it would have kept going. Trent
Now,
tells me to
Under the
start with the new
Dome, we
ones.
actually got an end to, which I liked.
Yeah, that
But
was a pretty good show.
there were parts of it that I liked a lot better than other parts, and that's why it didn't make my list.
I don't think it would even crack the top 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure
It
it
was a
would have
good show
for me
though. I really
either.
liked it.
Hmm.
So Trent tells me to start with the new ones, and then Dana says to pick your favorite doctor. How am I supposed to pick my favorite doctor if I don't know who the doctor is? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And then Jake says, Librarians of Show. It also has a Groundhog style episode. Trapped in a
I've
video
thought
game.
about trying the Librarians. I think I started to watch an episode and got interrupted or whatever, and I never actually started. So that's one I'm going to have to look at.
Trent said it was good, and too bad it got canceled. Okay, and your sister gives a list. Babylon 5, Stargate SG-1,
I knew that would be on
Stargate
her list.
Atlantis, Eureka, Star Trek Next Gen, Star Trek Voyager, and Warehouse 13. It's David Tennant.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, so you ready for my number one? Do you know what it is?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, but
Do you want to say it?
it's got to be Star Trek the original.
What? Why would I pick that?
Because you love that.
That is my pick. The original Star Trek. Nothing will ever come close to it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Um, I I love the original Star Trek. I always will. The characters are second to none, and it's one of those shows that you just I don't know. There's so much to it, and
Well, it definitely has the rewatch factor that you were talking about because
yeah.
I think I've probably seen every episode at least 5 times.
Oh, I've seen them. I don't want to know how many times I've seen them. Um,
We even watched them
and
with our kids.
the interaction between well, first of all, let me start with Kirk's the best Star Trek captain there ever has been and ever will be. I mean, that was the one thing. This is what I started to say about Star Trek: The Next Generation that I didn't like about it, and why it's 5 on my list and not higher. I hate the interaction between Picard and Riker.
That's funny because I like it.
It's almost like they took. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to butt my mic. It's almost like they took Kirk and split him into 2 characters. So you kind of have like the softer side of Kirk is Picard, and the more manly part of Kirk is Riker. And I don't know, I just don't like it. But I like.
That's funny because I think of Picard as being more like Spock.
But when what's Data? Data's Spock.
I guess, but
Trent said, "Here's a photo of the Silverhawks," but I can't see pictures on here. I'll have to look on. I'll look on YouTube when I'm done.
ooh,
So you think Picard's better than Kirk, but the original is better than Next Generation? That's an interesting take.
hmm.
Why? Why is Picard better than Kirk? See, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a landing party, and they're going to go and do like some. They're going to explore some new world. There's some weird things going on.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens on the original series? Kirk says, "Come on, let's go," and he gets his team and he goes down. And then on the Next Generation, Picard's like, "Hey, you guys go." Or even if he does say, "Let's go," Riker goes, "No, we can't spare you, Captain. I'll go." And it. And was that a good record? Did you like that? I haven't got the beard for it right now.
It was a terrible record.
Anyway, and I love the dynamic between Kirk and McCoy and Spock because they're so 3 very different people. You have, of course, Spock, no emotions, very logical, and then you have McCoy, who's the exact opposite. He's all emotion, and you got another birthday.
Thanks.
And I just really love that dynamic. But the other thing, and I didn't notice this as a kid growing up when I first watched it, but looking at it now, I'm gonna pull this picture back up here real quick.
Uh-huh.
Maybe hold on, let me get this message off first. There we go. Now, if you look at this. Now you got to remember, this was in what, the 60s, late 60s?
Right. Yeah.
You have in your crew, there are 400 people, 400 some people on the ship. They say all the time. And you have these top 6, these are the 6 most important characters, or you could argue that Sulu should be in there too.
Yeah, Sulu should be in there too. But
so that would be 7. And I'll include him when I'm saying. But look at, we have Kirk, who's the captain. We have Uhura. We have an African-American woman in a leadership position in a starship in the 60s.
yeah.
Amazing. We have a Russian. Chekhov is a Russian. We're right in the middle, in the heart of the Cold War, and there's a Russian piloting the ship. Well, he's not piloting. He's the weapons guy. Same thing. Yeah. Not same thing. You know what I mean? He's sitting up there with Sulu. We're not that far removed from World War II, where Japanese people are still
not trusted.
Not trusted. There's still a lot of prejudice against them. It's awful. Here's one piloting the ship in Sulu. Mm-hmm. You have Mr. Scott, Scottish descent, obviously, and you have this melting pot of people and it's never mentioned.
Right.
Anything that show deals with about race is always talking about Spock because he's the alien. And it's just a given that in the Star Trek universe, race just isn't an issue anymore. And I just love that it just subtly paints that picture of this world where they don't do that anymore. Now, there's one exception to the race thing. They do have the episode where, and I love this episode because it plays this so perfectly. Because the goal was to get people to think, well, that's stupid, and then hopefully take a look at themselves. I got to take this off because I realize that I'm like going off and you can't see me.
Uh-huh.
but but there's an episode where there's two guys who are like fighting and like trying to kill each other, and one half of his face is black and the other half of his face is white, and the other guy's one half of his face is black, the other half is white, and they're fighting
They're
each other.
opposite.
Right. Well, then it comes. Well, but you don't. I didn't notice it anyway. But I don't really notice details that like that well, especially when I'm younger. But it says they're just fighting and they're trying to figure out why they're fighting because they're powerful and they're like destroying things around them and all this stuff's happening and they're like. Finally, they stop and like, what are you fighting about? They're like, well, can't you see? He looks weird. He's wrong. He's awful. And the other guy's like, yeah, that guy's terrible. Look at him. Can't you just tell by looking at him? They're like, you guys look the same to me. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The left side of my face is black. The right side of my face is white. The right side of his face is black. The left side of his face is black. We're the opposite.
Whatever they reverse, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And I know I got myself confused there. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the point of that episode was for people to go, well, gosh, that's stupid. And then hopefully look at themselves and go, oh my goodness, that's stupid that I think someone's, bad because of the color of their skin. And the subtlety of some of that stuff I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's looking back on it from an adult standpoint when I saw it when I was a kid. But I don't know. I really liked, like I said, I like the crew dynamic. I like the adventures they have. I love the movies. Maybe except the first one. First one's a little slow. But it's still cool. It was a cool movie. But it's not one I can rewatch over and over and over.
Wrath of Khan is probably my favorite of the movies, but
Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock are probably my two favorite as well.
okay.
I have a whole bunch of comments that I need to catch up on here, but I just love the original Star Trek, and I love it in a way that the next generation could never come close to. I never got into Voyager or Deep Space Nine or.
We did watch Enterprise.
Yeah, I did like Enterprise. Enterprise probably became my third favorite Star Trek show.
Another Scott Bakula one.
Right. And I probably never gave Voyager a chance. I think I was, again, there's a time when I wasn't really watching a lot of TV. By the time I started to try to watch it, I didn't really understand the characters and I just kind of gave up. Deep Space Nine, I did try to watch because a lot of my friends really liked it.
It was just really dark.
It was really dark, and that's what I didn't like about it. It was what I just said about Star Trek. Everything about Star Trek was always hopeful and positive. I mean, even when they got into horrible, situations, the overall tone of the show was this hopeful, positive. Look how bright the future is. We're going to go out exploring, and it was really good.
What was your favorite episode?
Oh man, that's so hard. My favorite episode would probably be one that most people don't even think of. There's this one episode, and I think it's called In the Wink of an Eye, where these aliens put something in Kirk's drink, like his coffee, and it makes him speed up really fast. And they're sped up really fast. And so no one can see them anymore because they're moving so fast. And whenever they're around, people think there's like a fly or something because they kind of hear this like buzzing noise. And anyway, there's adventures that come from that. And I don't know why. I always really liked that episode. And I think part of it was because kind of the mind bend of maybe there are things that move faster than us that we can't see.
Well, and see, my favorite's still The Trouble with Tribbles, but
that's a pretty good
just
episode.
because it's a really funny episode.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like it when they bring them back on The Next Generation.
Yeah.
I also love The Next Generation episode when they find Scotty. Ooh, Doctor Who, SG-1, Friend, X-Files, Twilight Zone.
That's a good list.
Have we seen Friend?
No, but it's one that I've always been curious about. We should probably check it out.
Yeah.
And Debbie said that Dale's her husband is the opposite of me. He thinks it's stupid the captain risks himself every time. Hey, when you want something done, when you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, right? See, maybe that's why I'm such a control freak, because I watched too much Star Trek when I was a kid.
Maybe that's it.
Penny said the best show ever is Twilight Zone. I don't know if you were watching that. Twilight Zone was my third top. Yeah, I agree. It played with your mind. It was a really, really good show. You know, it's funny that I have such a hard time telling you what my favorite Star Trek episodes are, because thinking about Twilight Zone now, like 3 episodes pop in my head. You know, the 2 Shatner ones. There's the one we talked about where he's on the plane, and then there's another one where he's with like girlfriend, wife. I don't remember what they were, but they're sitting at a restaurant and they have one of those little fortune teller things, and he becomes obsessed with that.
Oh yeah,
that's a really good episode.
That's a really good episode. There's one. Well, mine is definitely for Twilight Zone. It's definitely the.
Justin says, "When's the sports part of the show?" Hey, maybe you could be a guest sometime, Justin, and we can talk about sports all you want to. How's that?
Hey, Justin, you missed it. I said they played golf through the Stargate in my favorite episode.
Penny says $6 Million Man. Yeah, I mentioned that in my
that
honorable
was on our
mentions. I really like that show.
Yeah, I love that. And the Bionic Woman, when it spun off.
This cuts off, says the best quote from Babylon 5 is from Severed Dreams. I don't know how you said it. Dylan? I don't know how you said it. Who comes to save Babylon 5. Only one human captain has ever survived battle with the Minbari fleet. He's behind me. You're in front of me. If you value your lives, be somewhere else. Oh, Max Headroom. Penny says, creepiest character ever.
See, I never watched Max Headroom, so.
I did.
I think that was when I wasn't watching a lot of TV.
Michael says happy birthday.
Thank you.
And Debbie says Enterprise got too dark the last 2 years. Voyager had a strong woman captain, and they made it home.
They made it home, yeah.
Well, thanks for ruining that for me. Spoiler alert. I agree about Enterprise too. It did get a bit too dark because I can't remember what their thing was now. But
we read that though the reason that happened had something to do with, like, they found out they were gonna end the series, and they had trouble. I forget. Like they had this arc planned, and then they found out they were closing out the series, so they had to end it faster or something.
Oh yeah, Michael Brownson everywhere read. It's hard because Shatner's in all the Star Trek. Hey now, can't diss the Shatner. What, you don't like your actors who talk like this? It's still hard for me to watch the scene where Spock dies.
Oh yeah,
it's really. It just made me think of that because I thought he was really good in that. Debbie says she agrees with Tribbles. Oh, just said if it's ever the sports episode, I will watch it all. You mean you don't watch it all anyway? What's your problem? This is some high quality entertainment right here, man.
Yeah, I take the day off to do this. Well, sort of.
Oh my gosh.
This There's a lot of truth to that.
And talking about not caring what color your skin is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You can care green, blue, mauve. I don't even know what color that is. So anyways, that's our top 5 sci-fi. This was a fun topic.
Yeah, I liked it.
Now I've let everyone else who's been on like promote something. So I'm going to promote something on your behalf here.
Thank you, sweetheart.
We just published a book that Martina and I went kind of behind her back and we scraped some devotions that she had written, and we published them in a book for her to surprise her for Mother's Day, and we published it, and you can get it on Amazon. I have the links up here, but it's a weird link. If you don't want to get it from here, it's also should be in the show's description. Anyway, you should check it out. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. Otherwise, it's in paperback form, or it's also on just regular Kindle.
On Kindle, yeah.
But you can check it out. It's really good. She's a great writer.
Thank you so much.
I've heard that the editor is one of the best in the book, or best in the business.
Well, at least he's promoting my book for me.
But you should check it out if you can. Like I said, the link is also in the show description. We got a couple other. Oh, Jake said you can pick Twilight Zone episodes easy, but struggle with Star Trek. I struggle with Star Trek because they're all so good. And Star Trek: The Next Generation also does not have an episode where they replay the same day over and over again. Or Star Trek: Next Generation does. The original series doesn't.
Oh, so. Well.
Michael Brown says, how about an anime that went live action? Someone else, or I think it was Trent mentioned, was that the one? No, his was something else. I gotta go back here and see what Trent said. Oh, it was on the other one. It was Before We Died, so it's not on here. Yeah, I don't know that one either.
I haven't seen that one.
I've not been a big anime fan either. I just don't.
Well, and I left out a couple things that were animated that I loved, like.
Maybe you had me on too. I'll send you a link if you want to jump on real quick.
Like I loved Johnny Quest when I was a kid, the cartoon. And clearly sci-fi.
Silverhawks, that's what Trent said.
Silverhawks is what you had.
Okay, I was wrong.
But I mean, I used to watch that every Saturday morning because it was fun. They had a dog that got to go on all these adventures, and there were always weird things going on. And they were kids that got to participate, so I liked that.
I did not like Johnny Quest, but I was really young when it was
Johnny
on.
Quest?
No, and I'd be so upset when it was on because it was on before something else that I watched, because it was on pretty early, if I remember right.
Right, it was. And
I would get up and be ready for my show, and then that stupid show is on. That's what I thought. I mean, I'm like 5, Well, I don't want this show. I want Bugs Bunny or whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was. I did watch Bugs Bunny when I was a kid every Saturday.
Oh, no, see, I loved Bandit. Yes, Bandit. I loved Bandit.
I think I was just too young for it. I think I would have liked it if it was on when I was older.
It had Haji. Haji was
I remember Haji.
Best friend.
But that always just makes me think of Bob and Tom now.
I love that show.
So, what's big plans you got for the rest of your birthday? I mean, I know, but they don't know.
We're going to Topgolf, and I am so excited.
Woo-hoo,
I feel like
me too.
I'm suffering from withdrawal from Topgolf.
I know. We used to go all the time, and then, of course, it's been shut down with everything, so I'm excited to go too.
We might have to check out that Silverhawks thing.
I know. Everybody's talking about it. Uh-huh. Thanks, Harlow.
Thank you, Mike.
So, anyway, this has been fun. This will be the first episode that's been under an hour. I always say it's going to be about 20 or 30 minutes long. And then it's been over an hour. So cutting the top 5 or the top 10 to top 5 has finally worked for an episode.
Seem to help.
But I want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go and do that. If you haven't liked the Facebook page, I'd really appreciate it if you would do that. I'd like this to grow. I don't expect to get millions or anything, but it'd be nice to be in
It's
triple
pretty fun.
digits. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. And that's really why I do it, is just to have some fun on a Friday afternoon and connect with people and just have some fun. Trent says, have a good weekend. Hey, I love you too, Trent.
Thanks, Trent.
Top golfer, embarrass myself in public. No, that's what I do on a real golf course, is embarrass myself. At least at
We just
Top
have
Golf.
a lot of fun at Topgolf.
Yeah. At least at Top Golfers, everyone around me looks like they're idiots too. So
Yeah.
you don't see, well, there's sometimes you'll see someone who's really good, but normally it's people who don't play golf that are just hacking away.
And the food is amazing.
Yeah, food is really amazing. Hi, Donnie.
Hi, Donnie.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
I get a free piece of cake today at Portillo's. So.
Oh yeah, we're going to Portillo's for dinner too.
Yeah.
The hardest part about going to Portillo's, we need to start like reaching out to these people and seeing if they'll like sponsor us or something, because I keep like sending people places. But the hard part about Portillo's, I don't know what to get because everything there is so good. And it's like, well, I kind of want this, but I kind of want that, and I kind of want this. Like the roast beef sandwiches are amazing.
Chicken parm's really good.
Chicken parm's good. Their hot dogs are good.
Hamburgers and fries are awesome.
Their hamburgers are good. Exactly. And there's just so much that's good. Michael, I'm the real deal idiot.
I'm really hoping that they have lemon cake though today. I love their chocolate cake, but their lemon cake is to die for. And I'm a chocoholic, so I'm hoping that my birthday cake will be lemon.
Their strawberry shortcake's good there too. Donnie, let's get it all. That's why I'm fat, Donnie, because I do get it all. That's my problem right there. Anyway, everyone, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. We'll be back next Friday at 3:00, and hopefully we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.